performance of Ebenezer Mudgett and the Pine Tree Riot, a dramatization of the book by Connie Evans, screenplay by John Netsky, directed by Ken Cahall, and produced by Lisa Wilbur on this, the 250th anniversary of Weare's Pine Tree Riot. This is the first production of the newly formed Weare Community Theater, dedicated to creative community involvement and looking forward to serving the community. You too can become involved by going to www.wearecommunitytheater.com. Community theater brings together those wonderful individuals who graciously gave their time, energy, patience, and good humor. Their sacrifices are greatly appreciated, but without them and the whole production team, which is led by Melissa Wetmore for props, Brian Becker for the set, Heidi Pope for costumes, and Alina Austin and Maria Milton as stage managers, and Caitlin Carson for lights, we could not present this play for your enjoyment. This event is sponsored by the Weare Historical Society with financial support from many. The following were sponsors for the Ebenezer Mudgett sponsorship: Able Ebenezer Brewery, Allied Auto Records, the American Legion Post 65, Virtual Technology, Cold Spring RV, Hayfield Landscaping, Connequit Hills, Mount William Inc., Pelletier Realty Group, and Stark House Tavern. For a full list of all our sponsors, please see the poster in the back of the room, and also in the booklet for today's event. Enjoy the show, and then participate in all we have to offer today. Now, we'll take you back to early in the year 1770.
Can't believe we're never get out of control.
Bailiff!
The Superior Court in Amherst, New Hampshire was stifling on that September day in 1772.
We have been waiting months to hear the verdict of the men from Weare, New Hampshire, who had
dared to attack and humiliate me, the good Sheriff Whiting.
Are you kidding me?
Bailiff!
Anno Regni Regis Georgi Terti. God save the king.
God save the king.
The king.
Timothy Wordley, Jonathan Wordley, Caleb Atwood, William Dustin, Abraham Johnson, Jotham Tuttle, William Quimby, Samuel Goodale, and Ebenezer Mudgett. You are charged with being rioters, routers, disturbers of the peace, and with making an assault upon the body of Benjamin Whiting, Sheriff. That you beat, wounded, and evilly treated him, and among other injuries. And in doing so, his life was despaired of. He being in execution of his office against the peace of our Lord the King, in crown and dignity. Silence! Remember, this is a court of law. If ye not give it the respect it deserves, we shall close the doors with a lot of ye on the other side. Now, how do ye plead?
Periodically, a good man will be forced to make a difficult choice. Driven to the brink of desperation and hopelessness, he will push beyond the boundaries of his temperament and redefine himself. We are all honorable, law-abiding men. Yes, we broke the law, and we took it a step further. Were we justified in our actions? You be the judge.
The Pine Tree Law was established in 1690 by King William and Queen Mary, but was not enforced until John Wentworth was appointed governor in 1760. Wow. That's 76 years. 76 years, my friends, of a law no one paid any mind to.
William and Mary's law stated that any tree with a diameter larger than 24 inches belonged to the king, even though that tree sits on my land. Now the law states that any tree larger than 12 inches belongs to the king.
Every tree.
Ridiculous.
If I should cut them down for my own purposes, I would be fine. My land, my trees, we dare cut them down anyway.
Only wants the trees for his baby.
Yeah. In New Hampshire, we grow massive white pines for the ship's masts.
Portsmouth or Newburyport will pay handsomely for our trees. They're our trees.
Exactly. And some representative of the king is going to come on my land and mark my trees with the king's broad arrow?
Calm yourself, Ab. You're making a
The
spectacle.
man is right. These pine trees feed and clothe our brood.
Ebenezer, everyone knows yours will never go hungry as long as you keep making that homemade ale. And Applejack, best that I've ever tasted.
Trips to Salem for that fine rum.
Have you brought spirits for the good folks, Eb? Everyone likes a good sip of rum.
Well, spirits are my business. I am Ebenezer Mudgett. I moved to Weare in 1765 with my family, my good wife Miriam and children. There were 3 taverns in town by then, and well, spirits has a way of turning a tidy profit.
Here's how the trouble began. Let's go back to May 1771.
Morning, Fred. Boy, you could use a sack of beans with all the kids that you have. Even after this winter, we can't eat them all.
Might those be the beans for the ale you've been asking for?
Soon the two were stretched out, leaning up against the fence, enjoying the sunshine and passing the bottle between them.
So Jonathan said to William the other day, "Why would I steal your axe?"
As Abraham laid out another one of his detailed yarns, the two heard the sound of approaching riders. The sound made Ebenezer Mudgett's stomach drop. He knew exactly who they were and the purpose of their visit.
Well, friend, it seems like the governor's men have sniffed out your trees.
I am Deputy John Sherburne. Per order of the Crown, we're here to carve the royal broad arrow into your fast-worthy trees, sir.
The crown. The crown be damned. You can tell the crown.
Eb, don't say another word.
Now, Mr. Mudgett, it will do you no good to cause trouble. I have the broadsheet right here that gives the governor, under orders from the king, the right for us to carve the royal broad arrow into your trees of a certain size.
What do we get from the king in return? We have no say in Parliament, and the governor is a mere puppet. Where is the representation for such sacrifice?
Leave it be, friend. You can't argue with the crown.
So Sherburne and his men put the king's broad arrow mark on Ebenezer's trees and on many trees throughout Weare and surrounding towns. Soon a long-standing but seldom enforced law started being enforced to the chagrin of the colonists.
They've come to take possession of our trees. We all came here to make a decent living for our children. This will never get out from under England's control.
We're better off than most have been. You still have a profitable business selling spirituous liquors.
Miriam had a way of diffusing a bad situation, but Ebenezer's anger and resentment would not be appeased. So as the evening chores were occupying everyone else, he decided to do something about the marks in his trees. Later, he would deliver the trees to the sawmill where they waited. Incriminating evidence that Sherburne decided to visit the mill. But once done, it couldn't be undone. Rain quickly melted into summer and fall, and as the sun was fall eventually disappeared after an explosion of color to the deep, dark white.
I'm Aaron Quimby. This here's my inn. The first inn in Weare, thank you very much. Folks come here to grab a pint and to talk. Folks don't hear much of the world beyond these woods. But Eb has.
Hey, Eb.
Hey,
Eb's come here on this blustery January day to check on my rum supply and give us his usual news about what's happening in the world outside of Weare. But he seems a bit quiet today. Must be letting this blustery newcomer have his say.
Wait a minute. Are you saying we don't have a claim on our own trees? I have big plans for my trees. I ain't about to give them to King Georgie on the other side of the ocean. Besides, let him come himself. See if he can whip him out of the ground.
Samuel, I'm telling you, that Governor Wentworth is serious. Look at this here broadsheet.
Look, Samuel, seems like His Majesty has given the governor a new title. Governor Wentworth is Surveyor of the King's Woods.
That weasel Wentworth sent his deputies out sniffing around a while back, cutting foolish marks on our trees, and demanding we pay a license for the rest of them. That's right. And he ain't too friendly about it either.
Samuel, you do have to get that license before clearing or building anything. You could be arrested and fined if you don't.
I cannot understand. Taking a man's property right out from under him. King's broad arrow. That looks more like a crow's foot to me.
Wentworth just wants the attention of the king, and he wouldn't mind a few extra coins in his own pocket. We all know that he hopes to find violations of the despicable law. We need our pines.
That's right.
How can we make planks to build our houses? We have to build barns, meeting houses, and bridges.
That's right,
Like many settlers in New Hampshire, the more famous Stamp Act was of little concern to the Weare family. However, the Pine Tree Riot was more than a disturbance. It was like a noose cutting into their livelihood and strangling their opportunities for a foothold in the community.
What's he want with all those trees anyways? Well, it takes a lot of trees to build one ship, Samuel. That's why he's got his deputies like that John Sherber.
That runt Sherman, he's got that high funny voice. You remember Ed? He came out to your place last May.
That's right.
Yes, Sherman. He's like an annoying mosquito, whining around your head.
Yeah, but it's Sheriff Whiting you'll want to watch out for. I've heard stories.
If Sherman's a mosquito, Whiting's a hornet, and he can sting. And he's got the blessing of the governor to support him.
No more, Mr. Quimby. I need to go.
Don't chop down anything, Samuel. They're bound to be here poking around. In the meantime, we're fixing to go to Salem for some bartering. You're welcome to join us. I'll have some room on my pung for your goods if you want to go.
Yeah, we're meeting on the South Road at Clement's Mill as soon as the sun comes up.
I suppose I could trade my beaver skins.
Yeah, I say we tar and feather Wentworth and Sherman.
I say we send them bound and gagged up to Quebec. Let their French at
That's right,
There you go.
I am naked to a tree and pour molasses on their head.
I agree, Timothy.
The Ebenezer could enjoy the no blustering. He had not divulged that he'd already ignored the despicable law. Either Governor Wentworth or John Sherwood would be checking the mill for offending trees, and he could then go right to the mill, urge the log cutters to cut his trees post-haste. But he still had to keep his business running. So his mind turned to the impending journey to Salem. He had a good supply of his own ale, of course. However, the real attraction was the West Indies rum that he was getting to Salem.
30-gallon barrel to bring back the rum.
The only way to supply the rum was to make several arduous journeys a year to a distillery in Salem, Massachusetts.
Animal skins!
Ah, yes, thank you.
The trip took 2 weeks, and the weather in New Hampshire in January, as you know, was unpredictable.
Butter, cheese, and grain.
Great.
Each farmer loaded his surplus products onto his pung, a box-like sled that made winter traveling easier.
Wax, flour, grass.
Despite the changeable conditions and long days of travel, the Weare farmers enjoyed making the trip to the market a community affair.
A big frozen pot of porridge and a hatchet to cut away at it.
Don't forget the mittens I made ya. I knitted them double. Should keep your hands warmer than the last year you had. Oh, and don't forget the calicos this time. Lord knows little Miriam's gonna need a new summer dress the way she's sprouting. I need a good bowl for bread baking, because Moses dropped my other end. don't forget the yarn and linen cloth. Don't forget the molasses Mother needs and my hair ribbon.
I need ribbons too, Father.
You promised me a hunting knife for last trip.
The sugared almonds, Father. The sugared almonds. And a whirligig for me. And me.
Don't worry, dear hearts. I've got it all written right here.
Oh, Ebenezer, you aren't fooling me. I suspect, dear husband, you relish the escape from a household of 8 children. Watch that you don't spill out the barrels.
Stop your fretting, wife. I'll be home before you know it.
Good morning, Heb. Gee, we thought you slept late. It's a beautiful day. We're gonna make good time as long as that trail is clear.
Can you take the lead this time, Ed? My team's a bit fresh, and they need to follow a seasoned one.
That I can do. Get on there, Nip.
Come on, now. Hey, Abel! Hey, Abel, get around with you. Get around. Get around. Ho, ho.
Hey, you got them Jotham beans.
Jotham Tuttle's family was famous for making the best beans in Weare, and everyone referred to them as Jotham beans.
No Jotham beans. No jury.
That's right, we need some music along the way.
Yeah, well, William, he likes to compete with the oxen, and he usually wins.
Whoa!
Whoa, whoa.
Last time I went to Salem, the trail was wide enough so these branches didn't hit up against my pony.
The road they traveled was just an old Indian path that they widened with each trip. Once they joined the logging road in Goffstown, the trail widened considerably.
If we're lucky, we won't run into any northbound teams, especially in those heavily wooded sections. That's where it gets tricky.
If such an unfortunate situation occurred, it often resulted in a test of wills as to which team or teams would be forced to retreat to the nearest possible area.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Get out of the way!
Sir, we cannot back up or turn around easier than you.
I need to hurry, I have urgent business.
What do you expect us to do here, sir? There are 4 of us and 1 of you.
Well, get a move on. You're holding up my official business.
All right.
That's enough!
Whoa! You tipped them apart. My beans.
Who was that?
I saw the symbol of the crown sewn onto his hat.
Yeah, that was Deputy Sheriff John Quigley. He was just appointed by the sheriff. Maybe he feels he has to be just as offensive and derisive as his boss.
Well, Goat's Head Tavern is just around that bend. We'll get a mug of hot flip and put this situation to rest. Come on, Jotham.
Come on, Nick.
Move on. Come on.
Goat's Head, a well-established 2-story clapboard tavern with 4 16-pane windows on either side of the oak door, came into view. Buck snorted and quickened his pace. Nip didn't have to be pulled. He smelled the hay pile high in the barn. The promise of a nice warm fire brought a smile to Ebenezer's wind-abused face. Unfortunately, as he approached the tavern after getting Nip and Tuck settled in the barn, he heard a familiar voice.
I think I know you, sir. Do I not?
I don't believe so.
I beg to differ. You see, sir, your ranting left a mark in me as deep as the one we did in your pines.
You must have me mistaken for someone else. The only man that's been around here for the past year was some small mousy fellow with a girlish voice to match.
That was me.
Do we have a problem here? I don't like disagreements. I've heard about the insolence that the governor's deputies have encountered with settlers living deep in the woods of Weare. There was one in particular that gave Mr. Sherburne more trouble than most. Would ye know this man? Benjamin Whiting, sheriff of the county, your servant, sir. What is your name?
Ebenezer Mudgett.
Well, Ebenezer Mudgett, I think you better give Mr. Sherburne an apology for your contrary behavior. You see, speaking ill to a governor's deputy is like speaking ill to the king himself. The prisons in England are full of people with such effrontery.
We are far from England and her prisons. We're not bound by such laws here.
Oh, we are bound by such laws as the Pine Tree Law. I sure hope you're abiding by that one, Mr. Mudgett. I'd hate to see Mr. Sherburne here needing to report you. The fine and possible imprisonment would be hard on a merchant or a family man. You do have a family, I expect. They'd be quite alone for a bit, and who knows what could happen to them. A man your age surely must have a house full of children.
You'll be leaving them out of this!
Your behavior is indeed very boorish, Mr. Mudgett.
Enough! I'll not have blood spilled and given me tavern a bad name. Get on with ye! Leave each of you be! If I know his reputation, that whiting will not soon forget this dust-up. His reputation is known throughout this county.
That man is just another reason to hate the crown. It's only a matter of time before that rat Sherburne shows up at the sawmill. King, Sherburne, now Quigley and Whiting will make it difficult for me to relax and enjoy my flip.
We cannot forget the obvious threat that Whiting made against his family. Whether he meant it or not, Ed knew that he'd have to make the trip back home as soon as possible so that he could be back to Miriam and the children. When he finally reached Salem, the men scattered to do their bartering. But Ebenezer was to return from that trip to Salem with more than just rum and calico.
It was an invasion. I detest you. Ugh.
Thinking he was alone, Ed felt safe talking and thinking out loud.
Then on the trail with Quigley, so I took my axe to those oil marks on my trees.
He was so grateful to unload all of his worries that at first he didn't notice that someone else was listening to his story.
So I told him that...
You look as though you've traveled a great distance. Am I correct in assuming you're from the wilds of New Hampshire?
You assume correctly. And I assume you are not?
Those such as I may not share your right, or for the same reason, but share an equal distaste for England imposing restrictions upon our livelihood. If some of the pups refuse to suckle, the bitch may suckle.
But she might bite them in return? Or worse, devour them?
Perhaps. But if all the pups refuse, she undoubtedly will suffer. It's important for all the pups to refuse to engage in making the message stronger.
Are you suggesting resistance, sir?
I'm only pointing out that actions already taken place with beneficial results. You must know that the Townsend duties were repealed as a result of our efforts. Although we are having some success, our mother is still applying force. We should be our own nation, governed by our own, not by some removed sovereign who taxes us for the benefit of the land where the king resides and gives us no representation in return.
I will take what you have said under advisement, sir.
Well, we've done more than question, sir. Here in Massachusetts, we've created a statement of colonist rights as men, Christians, and subjects. It's called the Boston Pamphlet. And Patrick Henry is leading the Sons of Liberty, a secret organization of stout-hearted men committed to rousing the sensibilities of our mother. Resistance through agitation works. Perhaps now is time for action,
Massachusetts spy.
Isaiah Thomas is an intrepid young printer who uses that paper to rally support for the cause of independence. His stories of British abuses has caused a great bit of anger in the colonists. Perhaps you'll have something for his next publication. He has considerable circulation.
You feeling all right, Ed? You a little lost?
I've got a lot on my mind, William. Perhaps it's time we do something. Let's get down to Daniel's house so we can talk. I can't say much now, and I want to wait for the others.
Daniel's
Salem, Massachusetts, built back in 1667, was everyone's favorite destination for heading back home. Mr. Samuel's reputation as an excellent cook was well known.
But Ebenezer knew that a quartered British soldier could appear at any minute, so he had convinced Mr. Samuels to let them use the private dining quarters for their meal and the important conversation that they needed to have.
Well, I don't know if Caleb's cheeks are getting redder frying the food or the one serving it.
Hey, my cheeks aren't red.
Oh, sure they're not now.
We've been pushed around too long. You remember what happened at Goat's Head, and before that on the trail with Quigley? We've been subjected to the royal administrator's insults and abuses. Because of the king, we are slowly losing what we have worked so hard to build. And our families are going to suffer for it.
Mother, tell Jesse's got pulled off a thread.
Can you not tell him that yourself, daughter?
Jesse, leave me be.
Mother! I don't see you trying too hard to stop his antics, daughter. Are you sure you aren't pleased to just be using your brother as an excuse for less than satisfactory handiwork?
Jesse, leave Sarah alone. Although, it might help her needlework.
Mother, Jesse's impossible. You wee-toad, you're not worth a button.
Jesse's a wee toad, not worth the button. I'll get him.
Mother, there's a man outside. He's asking if father was still gone. He isn't very friendly acting.
What do you think we can do, Ed? We're just a bunch of woodsmen. Settlers. Do you want us to shoot them?
I'm not saying anything about shooting. I'm saying resistance. I'm saying we're not alone in this. Other colonists have been organizing. In our neck of the woods, we should too. But we despise the Pine Tree Law. All laws and taxes without representation are unjust. We pay and England gives us nothing. They just take from us.
Yeah, you've known it for a long time. Why are you hot under the collar now?
This has been uniting the people in their shared concerns. The Sons of Liberty is a secret organization that has made the Crown listen. Resistance with agitation works.
But there are a lot more people in Massachusetts who can organize. How do you expect us to do it? I mean, we're isolated, scattered in the woods of Weare.
'Tis a fine afternoon. Are you in need of some help?
Benjamin Whiting, Sheriff of the county. Your servant, mistress. It's a cold day, Mistress Mudgett. I'm in want of a warm drink before I head south.
Oh, surely you'd be more comfortable across the way to Quimby's Inn. They have a continuous loggerhead warming up some flip. We only have some cider. Please, sir, I must insist.
We continue to meet, share our concerns, and reach out to others. We will get stronger. We will grow. We have to be open to resist. Otherwise, our families aren't going to survive as the king puts more restrictions on us.
What is it you want with us, sir?
You mentioned cider, did you not?
Certainly, 'twill only take a minute. It's already hot.
Why is he here? Doesn't know Papa?
Surely he's just tired and cold. He'll have his cider and be on his way. Ezra, did you finish bringing in the wood? We'll be back directly.
I gotta leave early and down to the sawmill. I hacked out some of those blasted marks on my trees.
What?
I know it was foolish. I know it won't protect me. It could grant me a bigger fine. I could even go to prison. Now look, after I get them sawed, I need to hide them so they won't confiscate them and make me pay. Then I want to talk to Abraham and the others.
Right.
You're the one that warned me not to cut down my pines. And ye destroyed the king's broad arrow on them? Y'all are guilty.
How do you know my good husband?
Good? Mistress Mudgett, your husband threatened my very person. His insolence towards the king will not be tolerated.
Surely you must be mistaken. My good husband is a law-abiding man. He's a well-respected, admired leader in this town. People seek his counsel. He was constable.
Good day, children. Mistress Mudgett, be sure to tell Mr. Mudgett I came to call on you. Good day.
You look mean. I wish Father was here.
Well, I'm not going to let this interfere with my fun here. I'm going to spend the night at least in the next day, and then I'll go home. Sherburn's got a lot of little towns to cover. It'll take him plenty of time before he'll get to Weare. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I see no hurry. I'm not saying we don't have to be careful about our logs, but I'm not rushing back while I still have business here. As far as resistance goes, Eb, I'm not sure what you mean by it, or what we could do.
Me neither. We can't take on the British soldiers.
I'm just saying, keep yourselves ready in case the situation presents itself. Keep your ears open and be ready to show support if needed.
What do you mean by a situation presents itself?
I don't know, William. Just wait and stay ready.
Mother, what was that all about? Do you think Father's all right?
He frightened me, Mother.
Oh, no need to fret. Shirley's father's fine. The sheriff would have said otherwise.
Well, Sheriff Whiting spent the evening across from Ebenezer's house at Quigley's Inn, smiling like a man who had accomplished his mission. The men of Weare ate the rest of their meal in an uncomfortable silence. And the next morning, Ebenezer set off for home, alone.
We should be our own nation.
A man your age surely must have a house full of children. They'd be quite alone for a bit.
What are you gonna do, Eb? Shoot him?
I'd hate to see Mr. Sherburne here needing to report you. The fine and possible imprisonment would be hard on a merchant or a family man.
You're the one that warned me not to cut down my pines, and ye destroyed the king's broad arrow on them. Perhaps now is time for action.
How do you expect us to do it?
Oh, Ebenezer, you aren't fooling me. I suspect, dear husband, you relish the escape from a household of 8 children.
Whoa! That's oops. Now what do we do? Oh. Hey! Could you help me?
Well, well. Bloody hands, I see. A man with bloody hands must have been up to nothing good. I believe we met on this same road less than a fortnight ago. You got yourself a nice bit of rum here, looks like.
You could just help me back up on my seat.
The thing is, I'm just very thirsty. This long ride has dried my throat.
Hey, leave that be! Hey, I've got people waiting for that drink.
Oh.
I demand payment for that rum.
Oh.
As Ebenezer made his way home, he stopped at inns along the way, and when he was sure that sympathies leaned away from the crown, he explained the resistance growing in Massachusetts. It became clear that all the sawmills in the area held unlawful timber. The more they talked, the more he learned that the anger against the greedy king and men like Sherburne, Whiting, and Quigley was growing stronger.
Ebenezer is but 50 rods from receiving a grand homecoming win. Hey, neighbor, did you lose the rest of your party?
Timothy, hello. The men will be by in a day or so. Caleb's working hard to get you a fine price for your leathers.
Are you feeling well? Looks like you met a bear on the trail.
You can say that and not lie. Timothy, I need you to help me spread the word. We need to have a meeting.
Sure, Brian, I can let it be known. Sounds direful. What should I say?
Just say justice.
It was a welcome sight for Ebenezer to see the smoke rising from his chimney,
Whoa.
whirling and twisting as if beckoning him home.
Papa didn't forget. I've got some sweets.
Children, fetch your cooks. It's freezing.
Did you get me the ribbons, Father?
How could I forget you?
And the knife, Papa?
Yes, yes.
It appears your journey may not have been without some difficulty, Ebenezer.
Oh, it's just a minor inconvenience, dear. I'm still in one piece.
The weather wasn't so bad as to take up the full 2 weeks. I thought a wildcat had you for supper.
Just about, Miriam, just about.
We had a visitor the other day, husband. Did you by any chance do anything on the road to provoke the county sheriff?
Did he come here? Did he vex you and the children?
He was mean. He frightened me and the children.
He came here to intimidate me through you. I didn't hurt him. To be honest, I wanted to. I didn't.
Finally, I've told her that he had defied the law, and about his run-ins with Whiting, Quigley, and Sherburne, and he told her what he learned from the stranger in Salem.
The law is unjust. We have no legal means to pursue our disfavor of it. We must take a stand. Oh, it tears at my guts.
Oh, I know you well, husband. You will make the right decision in how to handle this.
That is my perplexity. There is no right to this wrong.
Ah, Mr. Mudgett, a pleasure to see you again, sir. What brings you to Clement Sawmill today? I am here at the pleasure of the king to inspect and record the trees in this here property.
270 logs, sir.
Oh, Mr. Mudgett, I need not tell you, sir, that you disobeyed the edict. Aye, you should know to look in the New Hampshire Gazette for the time and date to appear in court. I shall now get the names of the other owners so that fines can be paid. Oh.
On February 5th, 1772, the New Hampshire Gazette published the citation.
May I read it for you? All persons claiming property in the following white pine logs, seized by the order of the Surveyor General in Goffstown and Weare, in the province of New Hampshire, may appear at Court of Vice Admiralty to be held in Portsmouth on Thursday the 27th, instant at 10 a.m, and show cause why the same should not be forfeited, agreeable to all information found in said court. 270 white pine logs from Clement's Mill in Weare.
So, there we have it.
What is our recourse now, friend?
We're to go on the 27th to defend ourselves. Did you not hear the man?
Well, I for one will not be paying a shilling to the king.
Any rum? Serious talk always goes better with rum.
Oh, Samuel, you're as innocent here as Jesse and Ezra hiding in the back. Have you come to help, hinder, or hoot?
I figured had I been able to, my logs would be right there with yours. Perhaps I can help in some fashion.
Samuel,
have a seat.
Sit down.
Well, as you all know, we've been decided to come to Portsmouth and show cause why we should not forfeit our trees and pay the fine.
And as you all know, King George himself will pardon us and give us extra shillings for our trouble.
Well, I for one am not giving my logs happily over to the king. A fig for the law.
We're with you, Ed, but why don't see what we can do? England has tied our hands in this matter.
We have been away from our families long enough, having just returned from Salem, and I do not relish the journey to and fro, just to get myself told that I'm going to be fine.
Yeah. Do we just sit here then and wait for Whiting to round us up?
Why not send somebody in your place?
And the group did just that. They sent Samuel Blodgett of Goffstown, and it wasn't long before there was a response.
Mr. Mudgett gave the letter for me.
Hey, letter, Papa, who's it from?
You see? Sam Blodgett. Oh. That blasted, mealy-mouthed, chuckle-headed scalawag. He betrayed us.
The late seizure of the white pine logs, His Excellency thought fit to deputize him. He says the charges are very serious. He calls you notorious offenders.
Yeah, obstinate and notorious offenders are we.
That wretch, he was supposed to represent us.
He could make it easy for us, he wrote. A turncoat. How?
We know how. It was the silver stacked in front of him swayed him.
Well, we all want to think he could say something to get us out of this. Look, I'm not saying he isn't churlish for turning on us, but the truth is our gripe isn't with Blodgett. It's with who it's always been. The governor and the king.
Ebenezer is right. What we need to do is plan our course of action.
No action.
What?
We will resist, but no action is indeed action.
Yeah, you can't be serious. They'll haul us off and chuck us in jail.
If we pay, the outrage will continue. We'll never get rid of this Pine Tree law. The opportunity is now, not just for ourselves, but for our families as well. They did it in Massachusetts, and we can do it in Weare.
I, for one, have grown weary of being indebted to anyone, especially the crown. I'm standing by you, Eb. I'll do nothing, just like ye.
We need to do this together. We have no means to negotiate. We have to be united in this.
Well, count me in. This law's been on my wick long enough. I won't be paying.
Right, Abraham? Right.
The men decided to visit the area sawmills in an attempt to gather support. But in the end, all but 8 men from Clement Sawmill appeared before Samuel Blodgett, paid the fine, and were free to take their white pine logs. Governor Wentworth declared they had gotten off easy.
The February snow and ice gave way to the March mud, and eventually the soft April breezes. The men of Weare became more and more anxious. Their defiance would not be ignored for long. The dawning of each day brought them closer to the inevitable confrontation.
Resistance through agitation works.
Ezra's 12, almost a man.
We should be our own nation.
Jessie's taken up some of the hunting, and though she complains, Sarah has a stitch as good as any.
Perhaps now is time for action,
And with Claire's help with the baby and little Miriam sprouting so fast, we'd be fine.
Dear God, how can I put my family in jeopardy?
Mother, father, that man is back. There's plenty of the horses now.
I am besought with a vision of a family of mice startled by a predator, scurrying around in circles, uncertain where to hide. Sir, I have in my hand a warrant for your arrest. Ye have most egregiously disobeyed our majesty.
King George!
You are to bid your family farewell and come with us.
It is late. We will not make the journey by nightfall. I have the right to post bail, do I not? I will gather the money tonight and meet you in the morrow with the bail.
Told you to be ready to leave for Weare by noon. It is out of my liberal generosity that I shall agree to your proposal. Mark my word, I expect to see the entire bail as listed in this warrant, sir. We shall meet you at Quimby's Inn.
Word about waiting visits spread quickly. Some of the men of Weare are crowded to Blodgett's house once more.
I have bail I can give.
Me too.
No. I'm done with it all. I will pay the bail and suffer the fate in due time. Go home to your families and tell them about this matter. I will surrender and pay the consequences.
Fred, look, you have disappointed us. What's the matter with you? Well, where's the fearless man who encouraged us to resist and said he would not pay 1 shilling? Are you forgetting the injustice of the Pine Tree law and the king's control over our livelihood?
That's correct. You told us to bide our time. A chance will present itself. Well then, it doesn't get any better than this.
Look around you, Ebenezer. We're not turning our backs on you. We come to lend you support.
Well, if you are indeed with me, then the choice is made. King George will soon realize that the good people of Weare, New Hampshire will not tolerate his oppression any longer. Now be advised, this is tyranny. This is treason as well. We are going up against the crown, but we send a like-minded message to colonists everywhere. Our defiance is not a whim. Our defiance is the result of an unjust law that has been repugnant from the start. And whatever we choose to do must be scandalous enough to hasten its gossip through the other towns. The more flagrant the act, the wider it will spread. They call us notorious offenders. So we shall do something notorious!
Whether you believe the higher power created man comes under one timing. Most people agree that human beings have free choice. Situations occur regularly that test men's options and values.
Periodically, a good man will be forced to make a difficult choice. Driven to the brink of desperation and hopelessness, he will push beyond the boundaries of his temperament and redefine himself.
Just before dawn, on April 14, 1772, Ebenezer stood outside Christie's Inn, trembling slightly from the cold air and anticipation. The plan was to at the inn at sunrise to take Sheriff Ben Whiting and his deputy John Quigley by surprise. The sheriff was lost in a deep and satisfying sleep when 10 men charged into the room, his held high. Whiting grabbed for his pistol, and they were wrenched from his hands. Whiting shouted,
You'll regret this. I'm the sheriff of this county. You will not get away with this.
Was it bail you wanted? Then here it is!
within a week, the Pine Tree Riot became common knowledge in the surrounding towns. Whiting wanted revenge, and he commanded 2 officers to send a posse to round the men up. They couldn't be found, and the soldiers returned empty-handed. The men hid in the thick woods for days.
Can you believe we're in Yeah. Whiting. How is it? Quite terrible.
Timothy Wortley, Jonathan Wortley, Caleb Atwood, William Dustin, Abraham Johnson, Jotham Tuttle, William Quimby, Samuel Goodale, and Ebenezer Mudgett. You are charged with being rioters, routers, disturbers of the peace, and with making an assault upon the body of Benjamin Whiting, and beat, wounded, and evilly treated him, and among other injuries. And in doing so, his life was despaired of, he being in execution of his office against the peace of our Lord, the Crown, and his dignity. Silence! Remember, this is a court of law. If ye cannot grant it the respect it deserves, we shall close the doors with a lot of ye on the other side. Now, how do ye plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Silence! For the last time I demand silence. Will the accused please step forward? This court orders each of ye 20 shillings plus cost of prosecution. Court is adjourned.
Well, husband, let us get home. The others will be most pleased to hear this news.
Is it true Father can come home with us now?
Yes.
The bold men, led by Ebenezer Mudgett, a liquor merchant from a small town in New Hampshire, helped to weave the fabric that became the spirit of America, man's desire to control his own destiny.
Like a quilt pieced together from bits of cloth, daring men helped to establish independence.
They rose up against injustice, oppression, and lack of representation in the British Parliament to achieve the change they needed.
Without resistance, change could not occur.